And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we are making a response video to Hafiz on the roommates. And his video is the biggest lie about the six-figure man expectation. This is going to be an interesting one. Put your seatbelt on and let's get going.
Yo, what's good, everybody? This is Hafiz, and welcome to today's video. Hope you guys are having a great day today. And in today's video, we need to talk. We need to have a conversation, a serious conversation about a misunderstanding, about a misrepresentation of an idea that I've seen happen so many times consistently between men as well as between women. So as you guys know that here at the Roommates, we're here to help men become the best version of themselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And we provided so many amazing financial tools up until recently with the 10 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom, with the episode with Anthony O'Neill, and with the episode with Tom Bilyeu. Check all those amazing tools out if you haven't done so already. And so we've been obsessed with giving men every tool to be financially stable, financially free, and financially educated. And whenever you're talking about finances, one of the biggest things and one of the biggest conversations everybody wants to have is the conversations around making six figures.
So far, so good. He's basically saying that we want people to become financially educated. Let's go, right? Not so fast. He continues.
One of the biggest things that I've seen wrong is so many people confuse men pursuing financial success with men pursuing life happiness, because financial success is not life happiness. And so I want to talk about three of the biggest misconceptions that we have in society around the topic and the conversation of a six-figure man.
Financial success does not lead to life happiness? Really? We're going to discuss this really thoroughly in today's video. This is very important to understand this aspect, because it helps you to develop a true purpose. If you get this one mixed up, you're not quite sure of how things work when it comes to, what's actually going to produce lifelong joy, bliss, and happiness. And you don't know how money fits into that equation, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to not reach your full potential, you're going to struggle with pretty much every single aspect of life if you don't get this one right. And the philosophy of it all is the first step. You've got to have the strong foundation of how to think about money right. And I think he misses the ball very much in this video.
And the first thing is, wealth is not greater than health. One of the biggest things I strive to do every single day is to teach holistic messages. I mean, it's hard when you're doing 15-minute content, but I try my best to teach holistic messages so that nobody is super obsessed with one point of the leveling up and improvement process. But what I've seen happen so often is I can talk about spiritual growth, I can talk about emotional growth, and I can talk about financial growth, and then what happens is all the guys just focus in on one thing. Everybody focuses on money, making more money, having more money. I was watching a video with Lex.
This is important, okay? He goes, I want holistic message, and then...
And I can talk about financial growth, and then what happens is all the guys just focus in on one thing. Everybody focuses on money, making more money, having more money.
Everyone focuses on money, having more money. Everyone's thinking about financial success, etc., etc. Maybe there's a reason why so many people focus and are extremely on about that. And if you had to give them a choice, you want them to be focused on women, or you want them to be focused on getting money, setting up their financial foundation? Because men are pretty much going to do one or the other. The fact is, if you're not pursuing financial success, trust me, you're going to have so much leisure time that you're going to be focusing on women. It's one or the other when it comes to men, very often. And if it's not, what else are they doing with their lives? No offense, but there's probably a better thing to focus on than women for sure. Because women, you should be procrastinating as long as possible until you get your financial foundation right. So, it's one or the other type thing. But then there's still other people who are focused on other things other than these two, which is very interesting to me. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not normal for a masculine man to be focusing on anything else than financial success. First, financial foundation. You know what I've noticed is that a lot of successful people, so to speak, once they get their financial foundation out of the way, like for example Hafiz, then they begin to teach the followers, the people that come after them, they teach them something else than what they needed, than what they were learning throughout the time when they grew in their business, if that makes sense. Like, Hafiz has been extremely focused on financial success. Okay, now, has he also put some of his focus elsewhere, etc., etc.? Yes. Did he get married? No. Does he have, a girlfriend? He's not openly honest about who his girlfriend is, so I guess he's playing around, maybe? I don't know. Who knows? No one knows, okay? But the fact is, he's procrastinated getting a family. Okay, that's good. Did he prioritize his health? Well, yeah, you could say that. But do you see how, in many ways, he's focused a lot on setting up his financial foundation until the point where the money is kind of irrelevant for him now because he's got a lot of it, okay? And then he goes back and he looks back at, maybe I'm focused too much on my work, too much on my business, which causes me to be imbalanced in my life. So I need to make sure I tell everyone else that they need to get some more holistic balance in their lives. But you gotta understand that he was imbalanced at some point. He worked those 12-hour work days in order to get where he is, which means that him teaching that message of, focus on your health, focus on balance in your life, focus on this. No, if you do that, you're never going to achieve that momentum, that exponential growth curve that Hafiz has or any other successful person has. For some period of time, you have to be out of balance. You have to be completely one focus, one-minded on setting up your financial foundation. This message that he's sending you now through this video is so bad, so horrible for any young guy out there that it had to be reacted to or given a response to. There should only be one focus in your life right now, and the masses, the ones that he's talking to here that are saying everyone's focused on money, they're the ones that are correct in this instant, not Hafiz. Okay? I'm serious. Now, is he correct when he says that health is more important than wealth? Well, kinda, yeah. Obviously, if you're dead, what's that money worth to you? Okay, maybe if you have kids, then they, but you don't want them to have money from you. You don't want your kids to inherit money from you. You give them money after they're massively wealthy themselves. Then you can give them the rest of their inheritance. But before that time, you don't give them anything. Unless they're still kids. But if they're grown up and they're actually now producing a business of some sort and trying to get their way through life, you don't give them anything. That's the worst thing you can do for your child. Okay, once he is of age and actually can begin to get places, if that makes sense. But, oh my gosh, if you've got money, you can take care of your health like no one else can. Okay, personal development is a team sport. That's one thing, which means once you got the money and you've got the exponential growth curve established, you can have 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 10 people working on your health, all at the same time. Do you think you'll be healthier if 10 people work on your health than if one person works on your health and that one person is you, who has a lot of other things that he needs to get done? Exactly. Is it better to focus on wealth first and establish that exponential growth curve as a business owner and make a lot of money first so that you can actually hire those people in the future? Hell yes. You need to. It's crucial that you do. And the worst part of it all is that during this entire video, Hafiz never mentions that you can become a millionaire within 5 years' time if you actually put in the effort. 5 years' time. Trust me, in the remaining 50 years of your life, you can recoup any health loss that you might have had throughout your 5 years journey of working 12 hours, 12-hour days for extended period of time. However, the fact is, in order for you to work the 80 hours, you won't be able to do that consistently unless you are somewhat healthy. Do you get my drift? Like, people whose health is deteriorating because they're doing the 80-hour work week are doing something wrong. And it's not going to last. And they're going to burn out. It's crucial that they have some form of health regimen to keep them on track so that that 80-hour work week can continue exponentially over time and become part of who you are. You see that? So actually, doing the 80-hour work week forces you to be healthy in order for you to be able to keep going with the 80 hours. If your financial success is not that important, why on earth would you do 80-hour work weeks? This is what becomes confusing when you listen to Hafiz's message in this video where he's like, so I guess money is not, so I should be more holistic about it. Maybe I shouldn't work 80 hours. Maybe I should work 40 hours. That's what normal people do. I should keep doing that. No! That's a horrible strategy and it's not going to get you anywhere, and you're going to end up becoming mediocre and average and never get to Hafiz's level of business. This is almost hypocritical. No offense, Hafiz. I'm a hypocrite a lot of times too. But come on. Give them some clarity. Give them truth. They're listening to you.
I was watching a video with Lex Friedman talking about we have a productivity obsession in the United States. And so there is such an obsession with making money. There's such an obsession with...
A productivity obsession in America? Are you kidding me? People are working less now than they've ever have in the entire human history. Literally. There's a few key people, like 20% of the population, maybe 10% of the population, that are trying to work a lot, okay? And they're trying to become more productive and trying to make more money so that they can feed their families because things are becoming quite expensive, okay? But the vast majority of people are not working very much. At all. So there's no productivity obsession, and that obsession is only amongst a few key people that are actually choosing to try to make a lot of money. You get what I'm saying?
Team no sleep. There's such an obsession with hustling, grinding. And like I've said, you do have to level up. You do have to improve your life. You do have to become financially stable. You have to work to achieve that as a man. But what you don't do is you don't compromise your health just to achieve wealth.
Well, duh. You can't, like I said before, the 80-hour work week forces you to actually get the correct amount of sleep, and I recommend 8 hours every single day, consistently, to bed at 10. Then you wake up at 6, 10, 6, 10, 6, 10, 6, 10, 6. Consistency in what you do is the key. If you do that, and you eat properly throughout the day, and you maybe have a little bit of 15-minute exercise in the morning, whatever it is that you do, you're going to have good health. Like, it's impossible for you not to have good health if you just follow those three key principles of health. You know what I'm saying?
My dad has always said health is the true wealth. And there are so many billionaires who are sick, who are on their deathbed, who would trade all their money just to be healthy. And I want all the guys who are pursuing finances and financial stability and freedom, which are good things, to never compromise your health, because it breaks my heart how many men are sick, how many young men are dying early of illnesses. When you look at the leading causes of death for older men, it's heart disease.
Oh, come on. Are you going to bring in heart disease into the conversation? Really? Like, how many people who actually watch the Roommates channel are going to die of heart disease? Like, literally. The only guys who are dying of heart disease... Okay, no offense to if there are an anomaly here and some people died of heart disease, although they were, not overweight and all that stuff. But this is mostly because of obesity. And most people that are obese, they don't watch the success channels very much. Because if they are obese, they're actually not trying very much. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know very many obese people in my life. Like, where are they? Like, I know there are a lot of them, but they're just not in my vicinity because it's just a different circle. And I would assume that it's kind of the same thing with the people that are watching the Roommates channel and my channel. It's just like, if there was a statistic, like how many of the people watching my channel are like obese or massively overweight. You are a minority if you are overweight or obese. Trust me. And you need to fix the situation fast. It's not acceptable for you to be overweight. Ever. No one should ever be overweight because we know what's needed in order for you to, like, a masculine man is not overweight. I haven't even mentioned or made a video on it at all, I think, on my entire channel over the last 3 years. Because it's irrelevant for someone who actually wants success. It's interesting, isn't it? But I'm just saying, this is ridiculous. Like, this has nothing to do with anything. You're not going to die of heart disease by trying to get to make $1 million. The fact that you're actually trying to make $1 million guarantees you, in many ways, against heart disease if you're consistent in building a business, your own business, and you don't get married. Literally. Okay? Because very often the reason why guys are fat is because they're married and they have no end goal in sight. There is no exit strategy and they're kind of stuck and they're working their brains off because they don't want to be at home with their wife and their kids. Like, that's what happens very often with guys that are massively overweight. So, do people die from overweight issues and heart disease because of massive work ethic in their business? Yeah, of course they do. But there are other underlying issues at the core. Like, none of my clients are, have a lot of weight on them. So, anyway, it's just a very interesting note.
This cancer, it's all these things, and I believe a lot of it is a byproduct of when men were younger. They were so obsessed with hustling and grinding and climbing the corporate ladder and making an extreme amount of money, and they sacrificed their health. And I do not want any single guy watching this message to do so. Like I said, holistic message. Pursue financial stability. If you can make more money, make more money. If you can make 6, 7, 8 figures, make that money. But do not sacrifice your health in the process, whether it's your mental health or whether it is your physical health. And men, we have to take our physical health important. We are neglecting this and we are killing ourselves. And this is one of the reasons why we recently partnered with a new sponsor called Future,
etc., etc. You guys can check it out if you want, but it's an app to help you to focus on health.
Future
blah blah blah.
Does that. So what you can do by signing up to Future is it gives you access to personal trainers who will not only guide you through workouts, but they will also keep you accountable for your fitness. I know so many men. Future.co, no /room. To see us healthy, and whatever you do not sacrifice your health just to achieve wealth.
It's just so easy for a guy who's wealthy to say that. Like, you get it. Do you get it? It's how, just do those 3 healthy things that I just mentioned. Get your 8 hours. Never, ever. Okay? That one is the most important thing. That one is the one that messes your mental health. That one is what ruins everything and makes you burn out eventually. Get your 8 hours of sleep. Non-negotiable. Don't work night shifts. Ever. No matter how ambitious you are. Don't do it. I've done it. It's not recommended. Okay? And then you eat properly. No continual fast food. No continual noodles. No continual pizza. And all that crap. Eat properly. And then a little tiny bit of exercise just to get your heart rate up every single day. You'll be healthy. You're healthy enough to do the 80-hour work week. And if you do the 80-hour work week with the system that we have on this channel, it's impossible for you to not get wealth. So you get both. Isn't that the best of both worlds? Health, wealth, and happiness.
The second myth is that financial freedom is the same as financial wealth. Whenever you ask...
Okay, so forget what it said there because they put up the wrong plaque. Financial freedom is the same as financial wealth. Let's see what he says.
Women, because they always talk about it. Why do you want a guy who makes, six figures? Why is that important? Why does that number amount matter? One of the biggest things they talk about over and over and over again is that if a man is making a certain amount of money, he'll be able to, take care of the children, take care of the family, take care of the lifestyle, take care of everything. And to me, that's not a bad thing. A man protecting and providing for his family, a man being the primary individual, bringing wealth and resources into his family, I believe it's an amazing thing that every man should strive for. But to me, you don't need to make six figures to do so.
And I 100% disagree. 100% disagree. Okay? And we're going to talk a bit more about that because I wanted to allow you guys to check out this poll that he made 2 weeks ago. What is a realistic amount of money most men should strive to make in a year? Okay? I'm going to go through those comments and you can see the mediocrity that these people are actually talking about. For me, it's sickening. It's disgusting. Okay? If you want to be a man, a true man, you set your standards high. Okay? And you shoot very ambitiously towards where you want to go. You don't want to be mediocre because why? Masculinity is competitive. You won't realize your full potential if you put a cap on how much you're going to make. Why would you ever do that? But let's keep hearing what he says.
I've talked about this in previous videos, but this is just a number that really doesn't mean much because there's a ton of men who make six figures. They make a lot of money, but they're also in a lot of debt.
Okay, in terms of the six figures, I kind of get it, but the six figures... Let's just talk about the pros and cons, or the pros and, what ifs about the six-figure man, or 100K dude, or whatever you want to call him. Okay, 100K allows you, if it's after taxes, which means that you pretty much have to make 130, 150, 100, or 200K a year, right? For you to actually have 100K left for expenses and savings and all that stuff that you're trying to do if you have a family. Now, obviously on this channel, we're talking about having 3 women and retaining them for life in a harmonious home where they never ever work, never ever have to work, and they've got kids. You cannot have less than 100K a year. It's not acceptable. You can't even be thinking about women before you have 100K a year, in my opinion. Okay? You should have 100K saved up and 100K a year, okay, before you should even start the dating process of finding those 3 women, in my opinion. Plus the stamp of approval, plus all the other stuff about female nature that we teach on my channel and in the Women of High Value channel, link in the description. Go subscribe there. You have a kind of sufficient amounts of money for a normal lifestyle with a good house, a car that, seats everyone, etc., etc. Even in 3 in Love, if you have 100K after taxes left, in my opinion, in this today, right now, with the dollar the way it is. If you're in a low-cost country, a completely different story. You live like a king if you've got 100K a year living somewhere else with remote online income, okay? But in America, if you're making less than that, it's not acceptable at all. It's so mediocre, it's crazy, actually. Holy crap. Okay, and then you have the other aspect, which is the what ifs aspect. 100K is a low number. You should never ever even have a number because the goal is infinite. Okay? Do you get what I'm saying? $1 billion is not even sufficient, in my opinion. Because the way that I look at money as a medium of exchange to exchange something that's valuable to 2 parties, right? You got a party here that wants to exchange something of value for money, okay? And you've got another party, he has something you want, and then you have something he wants, and you guys make an exchange. When you have a lot of money, infinite amounts if possible, then you can exchange value, that provides value for both of us. He gets something and then he can spend that money elsewhere. I get something of value that is more valuable to me than money, right? Than the money I gave to him, which is great. What happens? Society actually prospers as a result because now there's work involved now. The more we pass around money, which is great, okay, the more people have work. The more people are beginning to become productive. The more people are seeing opportunities. Because if someone is willing to pay me this for me to do this, then okay, yeah, all right, I'll do it. And the higher amount that they're willing to pay me, the more likely it is that I'm willing to do it. So having lots and lots of money makes sure that you have options. That's really all that money is designed to do. Options. And options in many ways, which leads us to step number 3, which is options create happiness. Okay? But, let me not get ahead of myself. It's the number you need to think about is I'm going to fulfill my fullest potential. The more I work, the more I'm solving problems. The more I solve problems, the more the world is becoming a better place. My job is not done until the world no longer has any problems. That's the masculine way to think about it. The feminine way to think about it is I'm just going to take care of me and my health and my family and our health. And then once we have enough money, we can travel the world and do whatever we want. That's feminine, okay? That's local. That's thinking small, okay? That's nurturing those that are kind of in your inner circle. Masculinity thinks huge. We think so big, it's going to blow your mind. Masculinity thinks universe, okay? Masculinity thinks I'm going to solve every problem. Because the more I work towards solving problems, and there's a lot of them in the world, the more powerful I become. Masculinity has everything to do with power. So you want to become a man of power? Why are you putting a cap on your power by saying you only want to make 100K a year, or 50K a year, or 60K a year, whatever the number might be? Why would you put a cap on your potential, bruh? Like, seriously, let's go.
But they're also heavy spenders, and they also don't know how to save. But on the flip side, they may be men making $75,000 a year, but they're not in debt. But they are great at savings, but they live below their means, and they're not lavish spenders. You see.
Is there something wrong with living below your means? Absolutely not. I absolutely love that. In many ways, you should be investing 50% of your income, or 70%, or 80%. At one point in the future, you might be even investing 95% of your income. Like, think about Jeff Bezos. How much of his money do you think is invested compared to him spending a year? Like, it's do you get what I'm saying? He doesn't spend that much money, which means that 99.9% of his money is invested in what? In solutions to the world, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so for a man to say that, don't be a lavish spender, like, it's fantastic to be a lavish spender. Why? Because you're putting food on the table for the people that you're spending with. They're offering you something of value that brings blessings to your life. Great. Pay them. Guess what happens when you've paid them? They now can go to the shop and buy whatever they need. They now can go and buy something from someone else. As a result, everyone is becoming more rich. The problem is when people are hoarding, right? So in many ways, I'm not saying spend lavishly right now. I'm saying, be wise about your money right now. Obviously, never ever spend more than you have, okay? And if you're gonna use debt, then use it wisely, but actually, if you don't understand what I mean by that, then don't get into debt at all, okay? Those of you guys who do understand what I'm talking about, then okay. But do you get my drift? We're trying to expand here, not contract, okay? Grant Cardone, the reason why he became successful the last 10 years, and this is himself saying, was because he stopped penny pinching. How crazy is that? Okay? It's not that he began to spend a lot, but he was now willing to invest in himself. He was now willing to invest in business. He was now willing to actually put his money to work instead of, oh, how much money do I have? How much money have you? And every single, that's good. Do that in the beginning, but there comes a point where you need to begin to think bigger, to think huge, to think expansion. And I don't like kind of this scenario here of if you have a low income, then it's better to have a low income and spend less than to be a rich person who spends more and maybe who is in debt. Obviously, you don't want to be in debt and owe more than what you actually have in net worth, obviously. But like, this is a success channel, so in many ways we should know that. We should understand that and actually live according to that. You know, like, be masculine in the way that you spend your money. But at the same time, there is no positive aspect to staying with a low income. Come on.
Those skills create financial freedom, because the reality is every single person cannot make $100,000 a year.
Okay, he says every single person cannot make $100,000 a year. Okay, I understand the aspect of everyone is not going to make 100K a year. Okay, they're just not, because there's some people who never watch my videos or watch other successful people's videos, or some people that are just lazy, or all that stuff, right? Okay, we're not even talking. Why are we talking about those people? We shouldn't even be talking about them, because it's irrelevant. Okay. However, what we should be talking about is that anyone can make not only $100,000, but anyone can make $1 million. Anyone can get $10 million in net worth. Anyone. If they get the right training. Now, obviously, are there people with mental retardation that have, I get that, okay? But can they be the exception to the rule, please? Like, don't put that on someone who's actually trying to study success and trying to understand how all this stuff works. The vast majority of us are kind of okay mentally. So we should be hearing about that. Okay? The people who are actually watching this video, trust me, 99.99999% of you guys are able to make $10 million in your lifetimes. If not 100, if not a billion, and if not more. Anyone. It's a decision. You make a decision to become massively rich. Anyone can make a decision. And then most probably not everyone is going to follow through with that decision. But if you actually work, if your purpose is masculinity, then you're going to arrive. You're actually going to get that goal. But if your goal is simply, well, I just want to make fast cash, then you're missing the mark. The goal is to achieve your full potential. Who cares about the money? You get my drift? It's Jim Rohn's quote. Don't set the goal of $1 million for the $1 million. Set the goal of $1 million for who you become in the process of attaining those $1 million, because you're going to have to go through rejection. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to get to know yourself better. You're going to have to develop people skills. You're going to have to become a leader. You're going to have to do all these things that are developing your skills, that are making you a better person, that are giving you a better quality of life. The higher goals you set, the bigger goals you set, the better person you become. Facts. Okay? Why would you set low goals then? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you encourage someone to set small goals? That basically means that you're telling them you suck. You can only set this goal. Don't set big goals. What? Everyone should set big goals.
Should every person strive to make as much as possible? Yes, but every single person cannot get a job making $100,000 a year salary. But every person can be financially stable. Every person can live a happy life. Every man can feed their family. And I want that to be the emphasis.
Can you have a family with a lower income than 100K a year? Yeah, of course. How do we know? Well, the vast majority of people, that's what they do. But you don't want to be mediocre. You don't want to be average. You want to be exceptional. You want to be extraordinary. Okay? In order for you to be that, you have to understand how to think big. It's not acceptable to actually think lower than this. Why? Okay, we're gonna cover that in terms of the family mechanics and kids and all that stuff in this section.
And the third myth that comes with the 6-figure salary is that money brings happiness. This is something that everybody talks about over and over and over again. But the sad reality is that so many people never learn, they never master this lesson until it's too late. One of the things
I disagree with it though. In my opinion, the medium of exchange called money actually does produce more happiness than if you didn't have it. Now, does that mean that just because you have a lot of money, that's going to make you happy? No, of course not. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're a happy person before you had money, you're going to be a happier person once you've got a lot of money. Okay? It's like you just multiply who you are. So if you're a good person, meaning you have good relationships with other people, that's what matters. You have bad relationships with other people, you make a lot of money, you're going to still have bad relationships with other people once you get a lot of money. Like, you can actually make a lot of money by being a jerk. You can actually that's how easy it is to make money these days. Okay? Like, that's horrible. But if you're a good person, it's good for the world, and it's good for you, and it's good in terms of karma, and it's good for your family that you're filthy stinking rich. Like, the less power you have as a good person, that means that there's other people that are worse than you, more evil than you, so to speak, that have more power than you do. Okay? What is it? The triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing, or for good men to own nothing, in my own words. Okay? Like, the less good people own, the more there are of other people that are less good than them, the more they own. Does that make sense? Like, we have to make a shift here where good people come to the point where they realize that we need to own more than evil people. Do you get what I'm saying? Which is completely possible because we come from a strength of morals, integrity, and goodness of our hearts, and we're building up society in a way that evil people will never be able to do. The more we do that, the more people will come to us to buy our products instead of buying it from people that are evil. Okay? And I speak of the word evil with this because I believe that all people are good. They're just misinformed if they're doing things to other people that is bad for them. Karma is always going to come back into their lives, right? But I'm just saying, from you as a person, you watching this video, you're a fantastic person. You would have unsubscribed from my channel a long time ago if you weren't a fantastic person. Trust me. Why? Because this movement is fantastic. It's different. We're wired differently. We want to find solutions to world problems. And trust me, having a low income or believing that money doesn't produce happiness is a very faulty lie. He says that this is a lie. But I'm saying that what he's saying is a lie because money, this is what money does. It creates options. That's all that money does. Okay? The more money you have, the more freedom you have to buy whatever it is that you want, right? So more money, more options. Does it come a point in time where you're just like, I have too many options and I don't need that much money? Is that a problem? Like, your biggest problem when you're rich is trying to make sure that the government doesn't take too much of it, right? That's going to be your biggest problem. And what you do with that money is that you need to reinvest it. That's how the rich people do it. They just reinvest and reinvest so that the government doesn't take all of that money. That's a good thing for people. That's a good thing for progression in society at large. We need more good people having tons of money. So money actually does equal happiness in many shapes or forms. Which I love. And yeah, let's keep going.
He said is that whenever I see people and they tell me that they want to give their kids everything that they wish they had, I always say that's such a beautiful thing. That's such an amazing thing. It's such a powerful thing. But then when I ask them, or when you ask them and do a deep dive to find out what that means, usually it means giving them more money, giving them more stuff. And to me, it blows my mind because I always wonder, is that the only thing you were missing in life? Is that really what you wish you could have had more of when you were 5 years old? Was it not more time with your parent, where they're actually talking to you, engaging with you, loving you? Because the reality is I never grew up with a lot of money. I never grew up, with lavish vacations and just parents who could just travel the world all the time. But my parents gave me time. My parents gave me conversations. My parents gave me values. Those are what matters into pouring into children, if you ask me.
This is a very interesting one. Hafiz doesn't have kids. Obviously, he's been a kid, so he's had an experience of that relation with his dad. And, obviously, and they didn't have a lot of money. So he actually grew up with the desire to make a lot of money. That's very often what happens. Not always, but it happens sometimes that a kid in a family that is kind of poor, they want to make a lot of money, okay? So, what is he saying here? Is it better for your future kids that you don't make that much money and you focus a lot more on them? Well, that's possible, but I would say this. Having had kids, I've experienced how expensive they are. That's one, okay? And you'll notice that you want to say yes to them a lot because a lot of the time you have to say no because of safety reasons, right? So the kids, there's been tons of books written about this, how kids receive no. The word no, they hear the most out of every other word on the planet, okay? No. And that the reason is for safety reasons, very often. But also, if the family is poor. Like if the kid wants something, and it's not necessary that he should get everything that he points at because, that's not necessary. I'm like, should I give them the whole spiel about how to raise kids in this video? That's not what I want to do. But I do want to tell you guys that kids, yes, they need your time, but that time is worth more to them if you are scarce. Just like women would rather you be gone the vast majority of the time in terms of their attraction level to you, when you are with them and you make that an amazing experience, they'll want to be with you more, but as long as you're away the vast majority of the time. It actually functions the exact same way with my kids. They want to spend a lot of time with me, but that's just because I'm in their space. I work from home. I don't recommend that to a lot of people, but this is monogamy and this has kind of been the thing that's worked the best for us. But at the same time, they have me so much, it's a problem, okay? So, yeah, I could choose to go out and be, working 80-hour work week somewhere else, but I'm choosing to be with them because of the situation of us being just two parents in our household. I long for the day when we have 3 mothers for these kids living in the same harmonious household, and I can actually be gone for the vast majority of the time, making tons of money. Is that to buy them tons of stuff? Well, when they're young, yes, I want to be able to say yes to them all of the time, if possible, when they're young, okay? To rational, reasonable expectations of what they should get. But once they get to a certain age, at least boys, they could be able to make that money themselves and get that. I don't have to make them spoiled when they're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, etc. Okay, then they can spoil themselves by working hard for the things that they want and need. But below the age of 12, I should be able to say yes as much as possible with my cash. The less cash I have, the more I have to say no to them. And I'm talking about experiences now. I'm not just talking about stuff, although stuff helps if they're kind of locked in a lockdown, for example, all day long. The fact that, you want to be able to buy certain games that they see online and that they see on YouTube and that they see this, that, and the other, because they feel left behind when they're watching other kids play with stuff that they can't get. The money is the only problem then. And to be a man who has to say no, it shows that you had less power. You want to be able to say yes. So that's why I say that you should massively build your financial foundation as a young man before you get women, before you get kids, so that you can say yes a lot. The vast majority of the time, at least. Okay? And then there are some things, when they ask for an airplane, obviously you're not going to buy them an airplane. But do you get what I'm saying, though? I understand what Hafiz is saying here as well, that yes, they want time, they want conversations, they want this, that, and the other. But once you're rich, You have tons of time. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you have, even with the 80-hour work week, you still have enough time. Especially if they're 12, 13, 14-year-old boys and you bring them to work. Because they're homeschooled. Why are they homeschooled? Because you can take them out of school because they don't need school, because you can hire tutors, you can get them to group activities, they can play sports, and you can buy them the stuff that they need in order for them to educate themselves on any subject that they want. Money. Money give you those options. But am I saying that you should be focusing all of your adult life on making money? No, obviously not. That's why I'm saying procrastinate women and children so that you can get an exponential growth curve and get rich in the next 5 years while you're single, practicing voluntary celibacy and SR, so that you are rich when you have women and kids. Because once you have a lot of money, you won't be thinking about money anymore. That becomes irrelevant, just like Hafiz is basically portraying himself. He's basically saying money is important, but it's kind of irrelevant as well compared to other things in life. And I'm saying, no, it's the only relevant thing in your life right now if you're single and you're preparing for a family in the future. The only relevant thing. You should only be thinking about making 6 figures. It should be the only thing drilled in your brain. I'm going to make money.
Does money give you more free time? To an extent. But usually what happens is the more money you make, the more you have to work to maintain that money.
That is only if you have a job. If you've built a business and you know how to replace yourself and actually have a proven system to do that, which you can get, by the way, you have so much more options when it comes to time. Yes, you need to keep things up and running, of course, but it's like pushing a standstill car. In the beginning, pushing that car is extremely difficult. And eventually the car runs on its own. It's the exact same thing when you build businesses and you know what you're doing. It's kind of like making your first $1 million extremely difficult. The second $1 million is a breeze compared to the first $1 million. Still difficult, but compared to the first one, you kidding me? Okay, and the 10th $1 million, it's like, it's a walk in the park. It's just consistency. And learning and keep going. And it doesn't require a full blast 80 hours the same way that you did it before. You've changed. Things are different. Get what I'm saying?
That's what people don't talk about. It's not just you end up making 6 figures a year. Now all of a sudden you have this automated business and you're sipping martinis in the Bahamas. No.
You should never do that anyway. Ever. Okay? You should always keep working until the day you die. There's no exception to the rule on that one. Okay? But you can have automated businesses that pay you until you die as well. And if you keep working, then those automated businesses are going to continue working.
Oh, if you're having a very lucrative business, it probably requires you to manage that business. And guess what? That takes time. And what people do is then they will sacrifice that time that they could be spending, investing in the ones that they love and use it to invest in a business. But they think because they're giving their children or their loved ones money, they're somehow giving them happiness.
Giving them time is not going to give them way more happiness either. Okay? It's kind of like time is money, right? So if money doesn't buy happiness, then time doesn't buy them happiness either. Okay? We can take that standpoint as well. You can notice anytime you spend more time with women, they're going to give you a harder time. I'm going to repeat that. Anytime you spend more time with women, including your future women, they're going to give you a harder time. It's good to be gone. Like that's actually what keeps you guys together. The more you spend time with women, okay, if you're in a relationship with them, the more masculine they become because you're masculine. And the more feminine you become because they're feminine. So you end up losing polarity the more time you spend together. So what the flip? So you really want to take time away from solving world problems to spend time and destroy your relationships? There's a reason why people are gone from their families and children so much, and it's not necessarily just to make money. It's because there are problems at home. Now, obviously, if they had more, like, do you see how it's not as the way that Hafiz is explaining it as much? You have to see the full picture of how female attraction works to understand how much you should be working and how much you should not be working. The whole key to this is lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you want? You can set that up in advance before you get women and children. This is how I want my life to look like. This is how much I'm going to work once I get women and children. This is how much money I want to make. And that number is never ever going to decrease. I'm going to exponentially increase it. Once you set that up in your mind, you can get anything in life that you want. You just need to prepare and make those correct decisions in order to get it.
You see, we have it so messed up. So many people do not have a healthy perspective about what you were missing when you were younger. Am I neglecting the fact that some of you guys were struggling with eating every day? I'm not neglecting.
Okay, one more thing I wanted to mention on the aspect of time, okay? My dad had tons of time for me when I was a kid. I didn't want him to be there, okay? No offense to my dad, he's passed away. But I'm saying that my dad was a stay-at-home dad as well, because he worked from home. He was a film producer, okay? So he's working on his script all day, and then spends time with his kids, and then, and then Googling the rest of the day, out of... Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, he was there. He wasn't focused on us all of the time, but we had a lot of opportunity to be with him, and he sometimes used that opportunity. You know what I wish? I wish he was gone the vast majority of the time, because then I actually could see that we're not poor. I grew up poor too, Hafiz, okay? And I noticed that I'd rather my dad work more, be gone, like literally make some money. The happiest time in my life was when my dad was actually working a full-time job. Okay? Which, you get what I'm saying? Like, I wish my dad had actually figured out the aspect of goal setting and actually making money. Back then, it was way harder to make money than today. Today's no excuse to not make $100K a year or $1 million eventually. There's no excuse. It's society, internet, inflation, everything has made it possible for us to make a lot of money if we want to.
Neglecting that fact. Am I neglecting the fact that some of you guys couldn't wear clean clothes all the time? I'm not neglecting that fact. Am I neglecting the fact that some of you guys' parents could not keep the lights on? I'm not neglecting that. Remember, financial freedom, not financial excess. And so
I like the word financial excess. Financial freedom, if you don't have a lot of it, is not really freedom, in my opinion. Because you're gonna eventually budget, right? There is going to be a family budget no matter how much you make, right? Even if you make $1 billion, you're still going to have some form of family budgeting. But it's just that it's freer. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to... Most of that is going to be invested. But it's open. We can choose what we want to experience. We can choose what we want to do. And I've literally listened to families, okay? Really rich guys speaking on stage, talking about how, the best memories that father had. And he was wealthy, okay, like a multi-millionaire. And he was explaining how he had taken his kids to basically like so many countries. It was crazy. Not that it's like it's necessary for all men to do that, but why not if you could choose to? Like, if you can set that up before you get your family and kids, why wouldn't you have enough money to be able to do that? His favorite thing to do was sit around the dinner table with the kids there and then ask them, what was your favorite trip? What was your favorite experience? What was your favorite this, that, and the other? And then they'd like look back and like, oh, there was that time when we went to the Alps. Or it was that time when we went and rode the camel and then, and Sarah lost her shoe and we never recovered it. Ha, ha, ha. That's the experiences of life. Not the drudgery of, dad going to work and he's coming home at 5. Yeah. And then it's the same routine tomorrow and I need to go to school. And then it's the same routine tomorrow and I need to go to school. And if you're filthy stinking rich, you have 3 mothers for the kids, okay? You're 3 women and you have, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, absolute maximum in my opinion, then you guys can travel the world. The kids don't have to go to school. They can be homeschooled. They can have tutors. They can have group activities. They can have all that stuff. But you can travel. You can literally have freedom to do whatever it is that you guys want to do at any given time. You can't do that if you have a job that you have to go to in the morning. Do you see what I'm saying? Create options for yourself. Think big.
Biggest thing is that, yes, pursue freedom. Be able to pay your bills. Be able to put clothes on your children's back. Be able to feed them. But don't be so obsessed with wealth and money that you sacrifice everything in the process. Pastor Mark Driscoll would always say, you can either use money to serve people or use people to get money. And that's what so many people are doing today, because you believe money equals happiness and you're willing to do everything in your power to achieve it.
That's not integral anyway. Like, why would you use people to make money? Like, that's not a win-win situation. Create win-win situations. You'll never use people to make money. Obviously, you're going to make money by serving people. That's how you should be making your money. And you can actually do that and become a billionaire literally just doing that without even using people to make money. Obviously, you're going to have a huge team. You're going to have employees. You're going to sell products. But it's all going to be win-win situations. And if it's not, what the frick?
And so there's a really famous verse in the Bible that many people don't understand the first or the second part of this verse. I'm going to start in verse 9. But people who long to be rich fall into temptation and are trapped by many foolish and harmful desires that plunge them into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And some people, craving money, have wandered from the true faith and pierced themselves with many sorrow.
Okay, this is one of my least favorite verses in the Bible, and you probably understand why. Number one, love of money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of instant gratification that's the root of all evil. Money has nothing to do with evil, good, or nothing. It is neutral, and you need to drill that into your brain as soon as possible. The person who wrote this verse, in my opinion, was not inspired by God the moment that they wrote it. Or it was the Roman Catholic Church that literally took this verse, messed it up, and made it so that all of their followers would not like money and wealth. Why? Because they wanted all of it. You have to understand history, guys. Understand what actually happened with the Roman Catholic Church, taking those books and being able to change what else was in there, and have all of those Christians follow the Roman Catholic Church back then, who were the only ones that had access to the Bible, to the scriptures, and people had to go to church to hear what was actually in the scriptures, and they were the ones who put it together. Who knows what they added? Who knows what they took away? This is not a religious channel, but you guys got to understand how this stuff works, because money is a principle. It's a medium of exchange, and it works in the long run and in the big scheme of things, which means that medium of exchange is according to truth. Okay? Truth is that which works in the long run in the big scheme of things, which means that if a medium of exchange is something that works in the long run in the big scheme of things, we should keep it. And it's a good thing. Okay? Like, it's truth. So we should have as much of it as possible without lying, deceiving, or stealing and creating a win-lose situation. Do you get what I'm saying? As long as you're creating win-win situations and allowing and having good business practices, okay, and you're not out to hurt anyone, money is one of the most wonderful things on planet Earth. It's one of the best inventions. And Bitcoin today, in my opinion, so far so good. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years, but so far, in my opinion, it's one of the best inventions on planet Earth. And that's taking a lot of things into consideration. We're talking about internet. We're talking about the wheel. We're talking about sliced bread. I mean, bro, Bitcoin, okay? We'll see what happens over the next, but man, if that thing actually is legit and it was, and Satoshi don't get me started on Bitcoin, but understand, money, and I'm not talking about dollars or any fiat currency, because they debase and they become worthless over time. Okay, so it's not like money itself, but a medium of exchange where you can exchange value for value. That is awesome. So it's not the love of money or a love of medium of exchange that's the root of all evil. It is instant gratification that is the root of all evil. meaning I need something now and I'm willing to sacrifice the future for that which I want really right now. Okay? So that's impatience, really. That's what is the root of all evil. In many ways, I actually want to say that monogamy is the root of all evil. Because it's so deceiving, because it looks like it's the right thing to do, and then you find out that, holy crap, this makes a lot of people unhappy. For life. So anyway, that's a story for another day. Link in the description, Women of High Value channel. I explain everything about that. Having said that, yeah. I hope you guys understand this. This took me a long time to understand, okay? I really struggled with this one because I was highly religious. I still am, okay? I'm more passionate about truth today than I've ever been. And that's why I'm sharing this stuff with you guys.
The reason it's so important to read the first part and the last part because it gives context. You see, everybody knows for love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, but they don't know why. Because if the sole focus of your life is to pursue money, you will do everything and sacrifice everything to get there. Even if it causes you to have to sacrifice your soul. Even if it causes you to have to hurt other people. That's what happens.
Why would you do that? Like, what? Why? How would you even think like that? Don't do that. Okay? Like, you have medium of exchange, and then you have, and then you have light and truth. Okay? Now, obviously, I said that medium of exchange is part of the truth, but it's not more important than being a good person, or actually being godlike. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course it's not that important. It's just the medium of exchange, for crying out loud. But it allows you to do a lot more good if you have it than if you don't have it. So in my opinion, the greatest person on earth would be the one that serves the most people. Now, you can do it without money. I mean, Gandhi, he served India, right? And he led 200 million Indians out of slavery, basically, from the British Empire, okay? He did that without money. That's pretty powerful. So you could do stuff like that and be a great man. But imagine if he had $1 billion. Would things have been different? I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying, though? Like, would you rather be that type of person who leads that many people to do that type of stuff, which is amazing and powerful, but why not have the money if you can have the money, because you're producing so much more? Like, in many ways, like, things would be a lot different if Gandhi had, anyway, I'm not going to go into it.
So I don't want anybody to make this mistake. I don't want anybody to believe this misconception. And I want to make it clear one more time for the people who do not have good listening comprehension skills. I am not saying a man should not pursue financial freedom. I'm not saying that a man should not work hard. I'm not saying a man should not provide for his family and do everything in his power to achieve financial freedom so that he can pay his bills, so that he can feed his children, so that he can be able to clothe his wife. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I don't want men to sacrifice happiness. I don't want men to sacrifice their health. I don't want us to forget the emotional, physical, and spiritual part of leveling up that is equally as important as the financial. Men, I love.
Look at this. And the lack of quality women debate. The only lack of quality there is a lack of quality of men. If men were absolutely flippin' amazing, you better believe that women would be absolutely flippin' amazing. Okay? Hafiz, I love you, man. You're absolutely great, but come on. Okay, having said that, let's go through some of these comments. I know it's been a long video, but hey, you guys need to get this drilled inside your brains. You see where I put, what is a realistic amount of money most men should strive to make in a year? 100K was the only option, okay? It says plus, so I'm okay with that. Infinite. There should have been an amount for infinite. I would have pushed the infinite button. You need to strive to make as much money as possible, because the higher goals you set, the more you're fulfilling your potential. Masculinity, provision, protection. More money, more options, etc., etc., okay? What hurts my soul is 74% are saying lower than that. how much should they strive to make in a year? 74% is saying less than 100K. But the worst part is roommates even asking that question. But now you know why he did, because of that video. Okay, this is what I said. All men should have a dream and desire to make not only 100K, but $100 million a year at some point, while dollars are still worth something. Only a few will heed the call, but those are the only ones moving towards fulfilling their potential. Check out Men of High Value. I have 2 channels. So that was me. Okay, what is it that people are saying here? The mean average salary is the mean average salary for a reason. It's no indictment on somebody's ability or inability. Everyone can't be a CEO or an entrepreneur or a doctor or a lawyer. Someone still has to be a garbage man, plumber, construction worker, ditch digger, etc. And those jobs come with salaries they come with. What's wrong with this one? And what's wrong with 232 people liking it? It basically says it's okay for a guy to stay where he is. There is no such thing as staying where you are. If your goal is to be a garbage man, that means that you're going to go backwards once you become a garbage man. What's your goal then? Oh, my goal is to just show up another day and make more money. You know that there was a guy who did this in Lebanon? Okay? I had a tweet about that where a guy had worked 35 years, hadn't taken a day off, worked a normal job, and he'd saved up for his retirement. And then over 1 year, the government had massively printed those Lebanese dollars or whatever it was into oblivion until they weren't worth squat. Okay, so they lost 95% or something overnight or over 1 year. All of his money, 35 years, gone. Okay, so do you see what I'm saying? There's a problem with that. If he had invested in assets, it would still be worth something. But he didn't. He just put his money in the bank and lived a mediocre lifestyle. Obviously not his fault. It was a different age 35 years ago, but today is a different age. And also, the 80-hour work week makes sure that all of you guys are actually doing those low-paid menial task jobs. So there's always going to be someone coming up and having those low-paid jobs. There's no end to that if people are actually doing 80-hour work week. But to stay there, not acceptable. The average man. Why are we even talking about average men? 75K should be a lot, but with a wife and 3 kids in 2021, it's really not all that much, unfortunately. You get my drift? And yet, he says 75 should be a lot. For most men, striving to hit even 50K is a good thing. You know, he didn't even mention in the poll above whether it's going to be after taxes or before taxes, because very often people think about their salary before taxes. It's a very bad idea. If you live in California and you make 100K a year, they pretty much take 40 to 50%. I'm not sure which percentage, but they take 50% a year from you. So if you're making 100K, you're actually only making 50. So that's another reason why you should have infinite. If you go over that, great. Then you can aim for higher. But for most men, just getting to 50K a year is an achievement. Remember, when people talk about how that's the average, that necessarily means that half the men are below that number. Oh my gosh. I'm a minimalist. 50K a year is more than enough for me. Research in psychology shows anything above 70-ish doesn't correspond to higher levels of happiness. It's easy to fall into materialism and greed. You'll notice that with 3 in Love, women are actually not as materialistic and greedy as they were in monogamy. Because in 3 in Love, they're actually emotionally fulfilled. Women shop a lot less when they're emotionally fulfilled. When they have an emotional void, then they can't get fulfillment from anything else than new. And so you end up not having enough money for anything, and that's a problem as well. But the aspect of 70-ish doesn't correspond to higher levels of happiness. Yeah, that was interviewing mediocre people. Trust me, if you interview people who are actually billionaires and millionaires and actually built their own flipping business from scratch, not inherited, and are not employees in terms of, athletes or actors and stuff like that, their answers are going to be warped because they're not really successful people. Although they're amazing at their craft or whatever they're doing, they're still employees and never develop the the business owner mindset, which is completely different, by the way. Okay, so for business owners, though, if you actually interviewed them, trust me, they'd be like, yeah, you actually become happier the more money you make. There's actually been other studies as well that disagree with this first study. Although everyone uses this study because it's easier to accept that study, because then they don't have to work so hard. But anyway, oh my gosh. Don't strive for money, strive to help others. Okay, I get that one. Money will find you in due time, but then do the 80-hour work week helping others. Anyway, you guys get the point. I kind of probably overdid it, but I really, really wanted to make sure that you guys understood my viewpoint, and I drilled it back home. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Make sure you always set massive goals and move towards them diligently. And if there are any questions, I will answer them. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next one.